Living paycheck to paycheck is exhausting. You work hard, you make decent money, but somehow by the end of the month, there's nothing left. Every unexpected expense feels like a crisis. Every bill feels like a burden. And the worst part, you feel trapped. Like no matter what you do, you can't break free. But here's the truth. It's not your fault. And more importantly, it's not permanent. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to escape the paycheck to paycheck cycle step by step. No fluff, just real actionable strategies that actually work. So here's what we're covering. First, we're going to diagnose the real problem, because most people think they're living paycheck to paycheck because they don't earn enough. But that's only part of the story. Then, I'm going to walk you through a three-phase system to break the cycle. Phase 1 is survival, Phase 2 is stability, Phase 3 is growth. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly where you are and what your next move needs to be. Plus, I'll share a counterintuitive strategy that most financial gurus won't tell you. Something that might feel uncomfortable at first, but could completely change your financial trajectory. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're not alone. According to recent surveys, nearly 60% of Americans are in the same situation. That's more than half the country. So this isn't a personal failure. This is a systemic problem. But just because it's common doesn't mean you have to accept it. You can break out. If you're earning minimum wage in a high-cost city, no amount of budgeting is going to fix that. You need to increase your income, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But for a lot of people, the issue isn't income, it's spending. And not in the way you think. See, most people who live paycheck to paycheck aren't blowing their money on luxury items. They're not buying designer clothes or going on expensive vacations. They're spending on normal stuff. Rent, groceries, utilities, car payments, insurance, subscriptions. The problem is, those normal expenses add up to more than they're bringing in, or they're so close to their income that there's no buffer. One unexpected expense, and they're in the red. So the first step is to figure out where you actually stand. Here's what you do. For the next 30 days, track every single dollar you spend. And I mean everything. Coffee, gas, groceries, bills, subscriptions, everything. Don't judge yourself. Don't try to change anything yet, just track. Because you can't fix a problem you don't understand. And most people have no idea where their money actually goes. They think they're spending $200 on groceries when it's really $400. They think their subscriptions are $20 a month when it's actually $80. Tracking gives you clarity, and clarity is the first step to change. Now, once you have that data, you're going to see patterns, and those patterns are going to reveal the leaks. Maybe it's eating out 5 times a week, maybe it's a car payment that's too high, maybe it's subscriptions you forgot you had. Whatever it is, those are your opportunities, because every leak you plug is money you can redirect toward breaking the cycle. All right, let's move into Phase 1. Survival. This is about making sure you can cover the basics without going into debt. And the goal here is simple: stop the bleeding. If you're currently using credit cards to get by, if you're overdrafting your account, if you're borrowing from friends or family, you need to stabilize. Right now, here's how you do it. First, list out your non-negotiable expenses: rent, utilities, groceries, transportation, minimum debt payments. The stuff you absolutely have to pay to survive. Add it up. Now compare that to your income. If your income is higher, good. You have a gap. That's your working capital. If your income is lower, or if it's so close that there's no room for error, you have a problem, and you need to address it immediately. The first option is to cut expenses. And I know, no one wants to hear that. But if you're in survival mode, you don't have the luxury of comfort. Look at your list. What can you reduce or eliminate? Can you get a roommate to split rent? Can you switch to a cheaper phone plan? Can you cut subscriptions? Can you meal prep instead of eating out? Can you use public transportation or carpool? Every dollar you save is a dollar you can use to stabilize. The second option is to increase income. And again, I know, easier said than done, but it's possible. Can you pick up extra shifts? Can you do gig work on the side? Can you sell stuff you don't need? Can you ask for a raise or look for a higher paying job? I'm not saying you have to do this forever, but in survival mode, you do whatever it takes to get stable. Quick heads up, this video is part of a bigger series I'm building called Stop Being Broke. Fix your cash flow. It's a complete roadmap designed to help you move from survival to stability to growth. The link to the full playlist is down in the description and pinned comment. If you're serious about breaking the paycheck to paycheck cycle, make sure to save it and subscribe. New episodes are being added there in order, and each one builds on the last. Now, let's talk about Phase 2. Stability. This is where you stop living on the edge and start building a buffer. And the key to stability is one thing: an emergency fund, even a small one. Here's why. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, every unexpected expense becomes an emergency. Your car breaks down and you have to put it on a credit card. Your kid gets sick and you can't afford the copay. Your hours get cut and you can't make rent. But if you have even $500 or $1,000 saved, those emergencies become inconveniences. They're annoying, but they don't derail you. So how do you build an emergency fund when you're already stretched thin? You start small, really small. If all you can save is $10 a paycheck, save $10. It sounds insignificant, but over time, it adds up. And more importantly, it builds the habit. Because saving isn't just about the amount, it's about the behavior. Once you prove to yourself that you can save, even a little, you'll find ways to save more. Here's a strategy that works. Automate it. Set up an automatic transfer from your checking account to a separate savings account. Do it the day you get paid, before you have a chance to spend it. Even if it's just $20 or $30, you won't miss it. And over a few months, you'll have a small cushion. And that cushion changes everything. Because now, instead of panicking when something goes wrong, you have options. Now, Phase 3. Growth. This is where you stop just surviving and start building wealth. And the key to growth is increasing the gap between what you earn and what you spend. The bigger the gap, the faster you grow. So how do you do that? 2 ways. Earn more or spend less. Ideally, both. Let's talk about earning more first. Because honestly, this is where the biggest gains come from. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, you've probably already cut your spending as much as you can. So the real opportunity is on the income side. And now I'm not just talking about working more hours. I'm talking about increasing your earning potential. Here's what that looks like. Option 1. Ask for a raise. Most people are underpaid, but they never ask for more money. They assume the answer will be no, so they don't even try. But here's the thing. If you've been at your job for more than a year, if you're performing well, if you're adding value, you have leverage. Do your research. Find out what people in your role are earning. Build a case. Schedule a meeting. And ask. The worst they can say is no. But if they say yes, even a 5 or 10% raise can make a huge difference. Option 2. Build a side income. This doesn't have to be a full-blown business. It can be freelancing, consulting, gig work, whatever. The goal is to create an additional income stream. Even if it's just $200 or $300 a month, that's money you can save, invest, or use to pay down debt. And over time, you can grow it. Maybe it becomes your main income. Maybe it stays a side hustle. Either way, it gives you options. And options are freedom. Now, let's talk about the counterintuitive strategy I mentioned earlier. Here it is. Stop trying to pay off all your debt at once. I know, that sounds like bad advice. But hear me out. If you're living paycheck to paycheck and you're throwing every extra dollar at debt, you're leaving yourself vulnerable. Because if an emergency happens, you have no cushion. And then you have to use credit cards and you're right back where you started. So instead, do this. Pay the minimums on your debt and focus on building a small emergency fund first, even just $1,000. Once you have that cushion, then you can attack the debt aggressively. This approach feels slower, but it's actually faster. Because you're not getting derailed by emergencies. You're building momentum, and momentum is everything. All right, let's bring this all together. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, here's your roadmap. Phase 1, survival. Track your spending. Plug the leaks, cut expenses, or increase income. Stop the bleeding. Phase 2, stability. Build a small emergency fund, even if it's just $500 or $1,000. Automate it, make it a habit. Phase 3, growth. Increase the gap between what you earn and what you spend. Ask for a raise. Build a side income. And don't forget the counterintuitive strategy. Build your emergency fund before aggressively paying off debt. It's the smarter, more sustainable approach. You're not stuck. You're just in a tough spot. And with the right moves, you can break free. It won't happen overnight, but it will happen one step at a time, $1 at a time. And before you know it, you'll look back and realize you're not living paycheck to paycheck anymore. You're building something. And that's powerful. If this resonated with you, subscribe for more insights like this.